Whoa, 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 whoa. When I heard that they updated the Phasegrasp in Amara, I knew I had to update my Phasegrasp build, and boy, is it the best Phasegrasp build you will ever see. Without further ado, let's jump into this video. This is LaserBolt, and today, guys, I wanted to update my Phasegrasp build. I know a lot of you guys are asking me due to the new update that came live. We also got a couple more buffs and nerfs coming your way, so we will be updating a couple more builds as well. But today I wanted to upgrade this one because I feel like this one would be really OP if we did an update to what we already knew. Now, this build is a mix of a lot of things, guys, and big shout out to Mr. Shifu, Eroktic, and Master Mozo for putting this build together. And this is very similar to my Phasegrasp build. It's just a little bit more OP and better, so let's go ahead and dive right into it. So for those of you probably wondering what exactly got buffed, for Amara. So what got buffed for Amara are two main things. Number one was Electricity, which now rewards you a reload speed bonus, and also Phasegrasp, which is the one we really are excited for. Now what the update did is says can now be used on targets further away, and the cooldown is now instantly returned if a player misses. So if you actually miss your Phasegrasp, it will automatically return to you so you could use it again. So this is something that was a big of an issue when using Phasegrasp. I'm glad that finally got solved. And I love the fact that this will now target further away enemies, giving you even more advantage when using Phasegrasp and making this build by far the best Phasegrasp build out there. Now, before we get started and I show you the build, do want to remind you guys about our giveaway. We're giving away 4 free copies of Ghost Recon Breakpoint for the system of your choice. To enter and participate, all you got to do is click the link down below and you'll be automatically entered. So good luck to everyone who's participating. All right, so let's take a look at the skill tree and see what we have. Now, as soon as I get done talking about the skill tree, I will tell you exactly how you want to play with this build. And I know some of you guys might be wondering, Laser, is this good for mobbing? 100%. Best build for mobbing. Is this good for boss killing? 100%. Really good for boss killing as long as you understand how the build works. Let's start off with the first streak in Mystical Assault. We're going to start with Violent Tapestry. We're going to dump in 5 points to this. And this is going to do a couple of things. Number one, it's going to apply a status effect. Number two, it's going to grant Amara a stack of rush. And when we activate the action skill, we will be consuming the rush stack. And for every rush stack that we consume, Amara's status effect chances are temporarily increased. A really good one. This is what's going to tie the entire build together and make it extremely awesome because we are going to be using a lot of rush and trying to stack this once we get into the items that we want to equip for this particular build. Next up, guys, we are going to be dumping 1 point into Electricity. Now this is going to be important due to the fact that we will be reloading our gun a lot, and since we got this we got a little buff to this, it's actually going to work pretty well. Then we're going to be dumping a total of 4 points into Restless. Amara gains increased action skill cooldown rate. We are at 20%, and I know I could put in 5 points into this one, but you guys will understand what we're doing once we get further into the build. So you can lose that 5%. Trust me when I tell you guys. Trust. Next, you're going to go to Ascendant. All action skill augments gain increased effect. This is going to give us increased effect to all our augments. Really good to have here because the augments we're going to be applying on here are going to be elemental, so we're going to be doing damage with almost every elemental type. So apart from this, the next thing we're going to be doing is of course picking up our action skill augment. We're going to do Steelness of Mind. Enemies damaged by Amara's action skill become face lock until they are damaged or the duration ends. Since we're focusing on Phasegrasp, this is definitely something you want to pick up. Next up, let's jump into the Brawler skill tree. Now for Brawler skill tree, guys, we're going to be doing quite a lot of things. We're also going to be increasing our life steal, and we're also going to be doing our survivability here. So let's start off with the first one, Personal Space. Dumping 3 points to this one. It's just going to deal bonus damage when we shoot our weapon. 36 bonus damage. That's crazy good. Then we're going to be dump 2 points into Clarity. This is just for health regeneration purposes, and it actually comes in quite in handy when putting this build. You don't have to dump too many points in here because you're kind of barely going to be going down, but when you do, you want that health regen if you're getting shot from different corners. Then we're going to dump in 5 points into Helping Hands for a few seconds after using her action skill. Amara's arm remains active and grants her damage reduction. Really important, guys. This is going to give you that survivability. You will be using Phasegrasp a lot. I would say with this particular build, if you have the stuff that I'm going to be showing you guys in the video, as far as our gear is concerned, you'll be having Phasegrasp like every 4 to 5 seconds. So it's going to be used quite a lot. Then we're going to do Mindfulness. We're just going to dump a 1 point into this one. It's going to increase our movement speed, shield regeneration delay, and max Mindfulness stack 25. The duration of this is only 5 seconds. So if you guys are wondering what Mindfulness is going to do, it's once again just going to increase our movement speed and our shield regen. All right, so now let's bring the whole build together and tap into the Fist of Elements. We're going to start off with the first one, jumping 5 points into Anima. Don't mind the 10 right there. It was just 5 points. Then we're going to be dumping 5 points into Infusion. Oh, I forgot to say what Anima does, in case you guys are wondering. This is just going to give a status effect damage. So as you see right here, mine is really high because I have 10 in here. So that's plus 40, plus 200 status damage duration. And action skill status effect damage is plus 80. This is like God roll territory here, guys. So I'll explain in the gear what you want to do if you don't have this at 10. Next up, guys, we're going to do Infusion, convert a portion of damage dealt by Amara's weapon into her action skill. We're going to be dumping 5 points into this one. This is what's going to allow us to switch up elements and to be very effective when fighting every single enemy that's thrown our way. Then we're going to be doing Tempest. We're going to dump in 5 points into this one. Amara deals increased elemental damage. Shock damage is further increased. This one is super important, guys. You do not want to dump less than 5 points on this one. If you guys are trying to switch things around, you want to make sure you keep the 5 points. Just keep in mind the plus 30 elemental damage and the plus 20 shock damage. You got to keep that in mind as we get closer into the gear. Then we're going to be dropping a 1 point into Dread. Amara's gun damage is increased for a few seconds after the enemy is grasped. So this is, once again, we're going to grasp the enemy, and I'll explain the synergy and how you want to work everything towards when you're doing this build, how grasping and when you should grasp and what you should grasp later on in the video. But we want to dump 1 point in here. Then we're going to be dumping a total of 3 points into Discriminate. This is actually super duper important. What this is going to allow you to do, it's going to allow you to ricochet bullets from the grasp enemy. As you see right there, there is a 30% chance that it's actually going to ricochet. And there is a 50% chance that that ricochet is going to apply damage to it. So really, really good. And then we have a 60% action skill ricochet chance. And then we have a negative 25 action skill ricochet damage. So this is super important because this is going to make our build amazing once we get into the gear. Then we have Deep Well. Amara gains increased magazine size with elemental weapons. Super important, especially with the weapon we're going to be using. Last but not least, we're going to be dumping 5 points into Sustainment. Amara gains lifesteal whenever she deals elemental damage with her weapon. This is what's going to give us the survivability aspect, and we will barely go down, if not even go down at all, just by using this, guys, because we're going to be doing a lot of element damage. And then we have Forceful Expression. Amara gun deals bonus elemental damage based on her action skill element. So once again, guys, we're doing damage with our elements. From here, guys, what you want to go ahead and pick up is Ties That Bind. Amara summons a giant fist that bursts from the ground and locks the target's enemy in place for a few seconds. Enemies near the grasp target are linked, and any damage dealt to the linked target is shared between other linked targets. Super important that you guys pick that up, guys. It's like 100% important that you guys definitely pick this one up. That's what's going to make this build extremely, extremely OP. And I forgot to mention what you wanted to pick up from the Brawler tree. You wanted to pick up Blight Tiger, converts Amara's action skill to corrosive damage. Really important because we're going to be tapping into multiple elements. We're going to be doing corrosive, we're going to doing fire, and we're also going to be doing shock damage. These are by far the best elements to use against any enemy, especially late game content. This is going to be your go-to build. Now let's dive in and take a look at the items you're going to want to have. All right, so for the items, we're just going to be using two particular weapons. We're going to be using the first one, which is going to be our Brainstormer. If you guys have seen me use this weapon quite a lot, especially on my Sane build and also on my Mozo build. I also use it on my Flag build as well. It's actually a really good weapon. And we're also going to be using the Lucinia's Call. Now, these are going to be very important. I'm going to go into depth on these real quick so you guys can understand how these weapons work. Basically, guys, the Brainstormer is a really, really good weapon because what it does, it applies chained lightning to other enemies. So if I shoot someone and there's an enemy close, it's going to automatically chain the damage that I do to one enemy to another enemy. This is really important to have, guys, and I'm going to explain a little bit about this weapon because not all Brainstormers are made equal. Now, as you guys were watching earlier in the gameplay, I was using this weapon. This is the only weapon I was kind of technically using in the whole gameplay because you won't need using any other weapon. It's just pretty much this weapon's going to clear out everything, even bosses. So what makes this really different than any other Brainstormer is that this one has the times 14. Now, there are other Brainstormers out there that are +3, +6, but the redundant one is the one that comes with the +14. Now, this is going to be really important to keep an eye out if you have this because this also drops with two really important anointed perks. The one I have right here is on action skill, and the next two magazine size will have a 50% additional bonus incendiary damage. Now, there is another one that gives you anointed. When you face grasp an enemy, it does more damage when the enemy's face grasp. That is the one that I'm currently looking for. As of right now, I don't have that one, but I do have this one right here, which is a really, really good one. So that is the weapon you want to have. Now, I know you're probably asking the question, Laser, what if I don't have a redundant brainstormer? Well, that's a really good question, because you know what you guys are going to want to do? You're going to want to do 3 things. Number 1 is like this video. Number 2 is head on over to our Discord channel. The link is down below. And number 3, make sure you guys follow me on Twitter and hashtag me Brainstormer. If you hashtag me Brainstormer and your Discord name, I will pick some of you guys and send this Brainstormer your way. Now, at the end of this video, I'll leave a little bit more gameplay so you guys can get an idea of how the Brainstormer works and what I'm doing, so you guys can get a more in-depth idea of how it works. The next weapon I'm using, of course, is the Lucina's Call. Now, this is going to be really important for you guys to have, as this is an AR. It's not going to be consuming any of your shotgun bullets, but it's going to be consuming your AR bullets. Now, what makes this weapon really good is that it also is going to be ricocheting bullets automatically without even considering the elements that we have equipped on our action skill. Now, I would suggest for you guys to have 2 of these. Have one with corrosive damage and have one with fire damage, incendiary damage. Those are the main ones you want to have. Right now, I'm just running 2 because I really don't feel like I needed incendiary damage, but I would highly recommend that you guys go with 2 of these so you could swap back and forth. If you guys feel that you're comfortable with just one, just go ahead and go with one, and you guys should be good to go. You really don't have a problem just running with one, but it's just a suggestion if you want to have multiple elements as well. Now let's talk about the items that's going to make this amazing build even more crazier. First and foremost, we're going to start off with our shield. Our shield is the Transformer, and the Transformer is actually a really, really good one to have here. There are a couple anointed ones. I have multiple of these. I have this one right here. This is an anointed one that gives me, when the action skill ends, weapon status effect damage and chance are increased by 75% per shot. Really good one to have. I have another one that also gives me more damage when I face grasp, which I've been altering between the 2. I haven't been able to decide which one I feel more comfortable with, but overall they have almost the same stats, and both of those are actually pretty good. This is actually a very common item, so I don't think you guys will have problems picking this one up or getting one of these. Next up, we're going to be taking a look, of course, at our class mod. Now, for our class mod, it's going to be quite interesting because I have the Face Seeker, and I have a really, really good one, guys. I love this one. The reason why I love this is because it does a lot for me. It does 25 weapon damage, it does plus 31 shotgun damage, and it gives me a plus 31 action skill cooldown rate. By far, for me personally, this is a god mode. Let me know on my Discord if you guys want this one as well. We'll try to go ahead and send some of these out your way if you guys think so. Now, the reason I also like this is because this one actually enhances the perk, which is the one we talked about when we were looking at the skill tree, which is Anima, and it was letting us get that status effect to plus 200 and that action skill status effect damage to plus 80, making it really OP. Now, you could use another Face Seeker, and your number 1 priority here is making sure that Anima gets as many points as you possibly can if you don't have this one in particular. Now it's time for us to take a look at our shield. We're going to be using the Snowdrift Safeguard, and this Safeguard is actually pretty good. It's going to give us a plus 40 magazine size, plus 8 movement speed, and plus 16 shock damage. Remember, we are already using shock damage with our current weapon, but what makes this one really cool is that it has cryo damage, and that is going to be important because that is one of the elements we are currently missing with our build. We're going to be using this cryo damage paired with our grenade, the Mirvex Tacular Hex. Really, really good one. And this is actually a very important grenade. You're probably wondering, why is this such an important grenade? Because of the action skill. On action skill start, regenerate 1 grenade. So you'll never be running out of grenades with this build, because every single time that you do your action skill, you are going to be getting your grenade back, making it extremely, extremely OP. And by far one of the best builds out there for Amara. Now, how exactly do you want to go ahead and play this? Well, to play, it's going to be very easy, guys. What you want to do is make sure you lob your grenade first. That's going to be priority number 1, because what's going to happen is this grenade's going to start linking different enemies, right? And the more enemies that are linked, the better you're going to know when to face grasp. If you guys notice when I face grasp and you notice the minimap, you'll notice that when I kill the enemy, the first enemy, all the other enemies disappear because they're all face grasp. That's what you want to do. You want your grenade to kind of give you an idea of how many enemies are around. You want to use this at least with 2 to 3 enemies to make sure that they're face grasp and kill them super fast. Now, it doesn't matter if they're a badass, a super badass, a boss. It doesn't matter. as long as you're face grasping the enemies and using that face grasp to the enemy you want to kill fast. Now, you're probably wondering, how does this work with bosses? It works very similar. As you guys know, every boss in the game will spawn enemies. The way you want to use this is you don't want to be targeting the boss per se. You want to wait till that boss spawns the enemies. Once that boss spawns the enemies, that is when you're going to be doing the most damage with this build. So what you want to do is get the boss down to health to when he starts spawning enemies. Once you see enemies start spawning and you're ready to lay damage into the boss, face grasp the enemy and output that face grasp damage into the boss, making you melt him super duper fast. Now, as you guys see here, I am in Slaughterhouse, and what's interesting about this Slaughterhouse is that I wanted to keep the modifiers up on the screen because, as you guys see right there, I have a negative 50% shock damage. Think about it. If I have a negative 50% shock damage and it's this easy to do the Slaughterhouse in Mayhem 3 True Volt Hunter mode, how easy is other content going to be for you guys? And there you guys have it. That is my updated face grasp Amara build. I will be having multiple Amara builds as well, and also some Flak and Sane and Mozo builds coming your way. So make sure you guys keep it locked on this channel, and I will catch you guys on the next video.